Hello, 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 everybody. We hope that you had a very happy holiday. We are wrapping up 2024
Yeah,
with
yeah.
some bullshit because we got liar, liar, pants on fires in the form of Robyn and Cody this episode.
Yeah, yeah. It was crazy. It was
Oh my
crazy.
God. Let me start the intro. We'll let the room load and we're just going to jump right into it. I have 3 pages of notes. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it's 11-point font, single spaced. It's a lot. But
Yeah.
anyways, let's do the intro. Okay. We covered so much ground this episode. I almost don't know where to start. So we're just going to start at the beginning. We open with Meri and we start out with a lie. We
Right.
start out when this lie is going to come back up again. Meri is bringing up getting kicked out of Utah.
Yeah.
We have debunked this.
Right.
And I'm so over talking about the threat of jail because Robyn's going to talk about that later and getting kicked out. And Meri saying she never planned on living in Utah again. I think Meri was treated more harshly by the first house she lived in Flagstaff when they kicked her out. Basically, they ran her out of the block. I
Right.
think that was worse than any treatment she ever got in Utah as a whole as a polygamist. What do you think?
Right. I agree with that. And I would even take it a step further because when she was kicked out of the place in Arizona, the first
Mhm.
place she lived in, a rental, I don't think that it was necessarily because they were disgusted by the fact that she was a polygamist as much as it was that she was going to have cameras running in and out and filming the block. Like, as a normal person, when you have your
Right.
kids out there, I don't want somebody out there filming my kids and put them on a TV show. I don't even
That's
want to, you know what I mean? So that would be
yeah.
creepy.
Yeah. So I think that it's definitely fair to say she was run out of
Hmm.
um that house in Flagstaff, but we talk about that far less than we talk about them getting kicked out of Utah or the catfish situation,
Right,
which
right.
that we're like hitting all the bingo spots this episode. We're talking about it all. We got 1,000-yard stare coming from Cody. If this was a drinking game, people are getting trashed.
Right, right. Yeah, they hit all the hot spots.
Yeah.
Everything that we've already talked about. And it's talked about almost to the point of ridiculousness because
Hmm.
I appreciate them going back and providing some clarity on some of the issues and giving
Hmm.
us, like, basically they gave a lot of the YouTubers who have been making these observations and even the fans who have been coming out and saying this is what happened and I suspect that this is what was going on. It's kind of cool that they're coming out and saying, yeah, you guys are right, that's exactly what happened and how it went down, but they're
Yeah.
not really contributing anything else or anything new to the soup. So it's getting a little stale. And I think that's the balance that they need to strike.
Yeah. Apparently, a couple people have commented that we got shouted out in notes to self Melanie and Corey's YouTube live, TikTok/YouTube live. So that is so kind. I actually sent, like, when Melanie and Corey first started doing reactions on TikTok, I sent her a message just to make sure it was cool with her if I sometimes used some of her clips, and she was so kind, so
Mhm.
generous. So love to see that. I did not see a recent sad TikTok from Peyton. I'll have to go check that out. Did you see anything?
No, I didn't. I didn't see
Okay.
anything. But at the same time, in fairness, full disclaimer, I'm not on TikTok. So that could be
Okay.
why. That'll do it.
Well, us as a country might not be on TikTok very
Right.
much longer. TikTok on
Right.
TikTok. We are coming up on that that deadline. So you know
Yeah.
what? Yeah, we're all gonna have to figure that out.
Yeah, that
The
was actually when I
moment,
decided not to do it.
of
I said, "Oh,
course, the
we
moment
getting
I'm
rid of
like,
it?
I think I'm kind of getting the hang of this. Boom, we're outlawed.
Yeah, you're out of
Like,
here.
okay.
You're forbidden."
I guess I'll stick to my reels like the,
You're right.
elder millennial that I am. So this is really a full circle moment for Meri. So she's in Parowan. She decides she's going to destroy this sign. This sign that she had made for her mom, I guess, and it had all of her mom's, I guess, just her mom's kids
Right.
and their spouses and the distance that they lived from the B&B. And Meri included her home in Flagstaff as her and Cody. And it's like, that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, a little wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Just on the inside baseball, like from what I understand, Mary's mom was resolute that Meri stick in there with Cody. And I think that she's a big reason, a big moving factor as to why Meri stayed in the marriage as long as she did, out of reverence for her mom's wishes. So,
I think you're
yeah.
right. And I also know, I remember from the very first episode, because I go back and grab clips from that episode all the time.
Mhm.
Cody really was counseled and mentored by Mary's family in
Right.
polygamy and like how to live polygamy. And I remember when Bonnie died, like I think Cody has a lot of respect for Mary's parents. So
Mhm.
I think that like that makes sense, but the problem is Cody might have liked Mary's parents, but he didn't love Meri.
Right. Right. Well, because I think it could be as simple as Mary's parents opened the door for Cody to experience the awe and majesty of being the patriarch in a polygamous family, but he didn't necessarily like the vehicle that landed him in the polygamous family or in that
Mhm.
circumstance. So he didn't care for Mary, but he liked the fact that they opened him up to this new religion that he thought he was going to rise to the top of it. Like I know that they have like this thing. That's the video I'm working on now currently. So that will be coming
Mhm.
out tonight. But it's talking about his supposed ascension to leadership roles within the AUB. I think that was always his goal. Like as far as like the strategy moves that he was making.
Speaking of Corey and Melanie, because I was watching their live, not this past one, but the one before, and she was referencing how Cody was like boo her about having to cut his hair, and that if that was the reason that he is all like anti AUB, that's like real sad.
Right.
Um, but she's when she said she was watching as he said that he was being like slotted for a leadership role, and she was like, they do that to everybody.
Right.
I was like, that's kind of a sick burn because none of us know what the AUB is really like. So if Cody is telling us I was being, scouted for leadership, I'll believe that. Like, why not,
Mhm.
And to hear her say, like, literally everyone's a teacher, my husband and I were just talking about him working at The Bachelor on our podcast, and he was like, literally everyone's a producer. So it's like if everyone's a teacher, then like who's the student?
Right.
Yeah.
Too many Chiefs, not enough Indians. But
It-
it's
yeah.
yeah, but it kind of comes down to a thing too, where I see that as motivation for the masses. Like it's the dummy do. So when somebody like if you have a job, let's just take it out of religion, we'll put it on employment. You have a job, and as soon as you start working, within your first week, they say, you know what? I really like the way you work. I like your attitude. I like the fact that you're a real self-starter. And if you keep and maintain this type of momentum, then in no time, you're probably going to get promoted. And that means you're definitely going to maybe even double or triple your salary. Now, when you hear that, you get the motivation that, wow, I need to come in early. I need to stay late. I need to make sure assignments are getting done. I need to start picking up more assignments and do all these things. But how crazy would you feel when you find out that this is what they say to everybody to get you motivated and on board to do all the dumb shit that they want you to do? So, I mean, I can see them doing that too. Like, oh yeah, we're gonna make you a teacher, but you gotta come in and you have to maintain your tithes. The charitable
Mhm.
donation you give, the 20, usually it's 10%, but some of
Right.
give 20% to the church, and that'll really prove to us that you're really serious, and then that could really get you moved up within the church. So I can see that too. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Telling everybody. And I think that her dad or something is like in leadership within the AUB. So she would know. Like the
Yeah, her dad is like the guy, the
right,
prophet right
right,
now. So
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she knows some inside baseball. Actually, I'm in contact with them. I have to
Oh,
just carve
that's
some
awesome.
time out so we can do a little collab. But yeah. So I'm looking forward to that conversation.
That's
But
awesome. I will
yes.
definitely be tuning into that. Let's go church shopping.
Mm.
As we know, you say shopping, Robin's like, I'm there. It doesn't
Right.
even matter what it's for.
Done and done.
Um, so we are going church shopping, and my biggest takeaway from this whole episode with everything surrounding church, Robin has not left the AUB.
Mm.
She might physically not be attending services anymore, but she is still mentally and emotionally very much still part of, as she calls it, her church.
Right. Right.
And and I just think that this is a unsustainable dynamic for Cody and Robin's marriage. Cody seems to be very wronged by the AUB, even though at the end of the episode we see him still pushing the girls towards at least being LDS. So he doesn't seem to have left his faith, but he definitely left the organized religion aspect of it. But I think that this is going to breed massive amounts of tension and resentment from Robin towards Cody,
Mm.
because I think the way she is posing it to us, it's as if he ripped her from the life that she knew.
Right. Right. Well, I think that that's part of it. My read on it is that when he talks about the AUB, and I kind of get into it in the video I'm coming out with, but when he
Uh-huh.
talks about his presence in the AUB and his discord with the leadership in the AUB, I get the impression that he wasn't insulted because he's now referring to the AUB as a cult. He wasn't doing
Yeah.
that before. Right.
Right.
This is
Yeah.
all new. They never used the C word prior to
Right.
this. You know what I mean?
No.
But now all of a sudden they fall out of C word. Cult. And he never referred to it as a cult before. But what has changed? What's changed isn't the fact that he was using his wife and taking advantage. I would feel more sympathy for Cody if he would have came out and said, you know what? I realized that by being a part of this religion, that I'm actively participating in the subjugation of my partners, of the mothers of my children, as well as women in general. I'm seeing how these ladies are being treated as second-class citizens, people with no rights, no responsibilities, and having everything heaped upon them, and I don't like it, so therefore I am separating myself from this religion. I would have respected that. But what
Mhm.
Cody is mad about is the fact that they had the audacity to publicly embarrass him by granting Meri the release from the marriage. That's why he's mad. And I think that that's all it comes down to. I don't think that Cody has a problem with using these women and taking advantage of them and getting what he needs to stay comfortable. And I think that Robin certainly doesn't have a problem with taking checks and money and establishing a lifestyle that makes her feel comfortable by using these women to do it. So I think that she's very suited for the AUB because as she participated in the full realm of plural marriage, she was freaking winning. So yeah, you want to keep doing it because you're winning. I'm getting everything I want. I'm sitting in a $2 million house. Whereas before I started with the Brown family, I was living in a trailer and then I was living in my dad's rental house. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? No property to my name, $60,000 in Victoria's Secret debt and retail debt. And
And
now I'm a
there's
millionaire. Yeah, I want to keep
yeah.
doing it.
Yeah. And there is a real darkness that I'm seeing surface that I feel like the past few seasons we've had to work to like uncover, almost like as a conspiracy theory, like nothing was being explicitly said on the show. This was all like conjecture and speculation on the part of the viewers, educated guesses, really, with no like outright confirmation. We're getting outright confirmation now about how dark the dynamic in this family really is and really has always been. And I am a little taken aback. Especially like Robyn this episode, just the bold-faced lying. And then I'm thinking, you are a seriously sick person if you still believe that you could live plural marriage with the right people. You just got like a bad batch, is what she's trying to say. But you never put forth the effort into having a relationship with sister wives. So if you think other wives would come in, Cody's not going to be getting wives older than you, honey, if he takes another wife. He's going to be getting another wife 20 years younger than you. You think you're still going to be the favorite wife?
Right.
You think you're still going to be the one that's going to have everyone have to kowtow to her? You think you're still going to be the one with the legal marriage?
Right. Yeah. Well, the crazy part is, as I was listening to her talk about it, even because I'm in complete agreement with what you're saying, but when I listen to her talk about, oh, I really wanted to have the sister wife experience and they really let me down and they didn't really meet my commitment to these women as sister wives and they failed me because they didn't rise to that level, to that standard. Here's the funny thing about it to me. If you genuinely cared anything about these women at any time, then you would want what's best for them. If they're not happy in this marriage or this relationship, and they actually meant anything to you, then you would want them to leave the relationship and go find something to make them happy. But the only thing she was committed to was making sure they stayed in the family and stayed around her. That doesn't make you a good partner. That makes you selfish. If you have a partner and your husband or your wife isn't feeling the relationship and they could go out and live their life and live better and be happier, then if you genuinely love them, you would let them go. And what I see with Robyn is that she's like she demonstrates it, and I don't give a shit, and pardon my French, but I gotta say this, I don't give a shit how many times she says that she's a selfless, caring, compassionate person who cares about other people more than she cares about herself. That's just talk. You can tell your story walking because your actions demonstrate something completely different. And that's part of the reason, sweetheart, that nobody likes you. If I can put it right there, Robyn, if you ever see this, I'm telling you right now, that's why nobody likes your ass. Because you say one thing, but then you do something else. You spent this whole 19 seasons of Sister Wives talking out the side of your neck. And nobody gives a shit what you talk. I don't even know why they do confessional couches with Robyn and Cody anymore. Because I don't believe anything they say. You know what I mean?
Clearly, what's happening now is Robyn and Cody will say something, and then they will intersperse like what actually happened. So what did Robyn is like saying how she never wanted to be Cody's legal wife, and then it cuts to her crying over how special it was that Meri was getting divorced. And I'm just like, this is art.
Right.
This should win an Emmy. That no, probably not. But like what the producers are doing in trolling Cody and Robyn now is like, I love it. This is what's keeping me watching
the show. Also,
we've logged the man hours. I one of my Facebook moderators posed the question like, are you watching the show still, or are you just watching like content creators? Are you just in the community but not watching the show? And I said I'm I'm for better or for worse, I'm here till the wheels fall off of this thing. Like we've logged the man hours, we've put in the work. Maybe it's partly a sunk cost fallacy or whatever they call it, but we're in it.
Right.
I gotta know what happens with Coyote Pass.
Yeah, how they divide that foolishness up. Like that whole thing burns me up every time I think about it. Because when I wouldn't have gave them another nickel until we put everybody's name on every piece of property out there. Like I just don't get that. But even to your point, like when push comes down to shove, when it comes to Robyn and like even Cody trying to say like, oh, I never wanted to be married. There's not look. When the show started, Cody is now trying to redress it by saying that his quiet, humble, shy wife, who's so pretty and kind, but she's so shy and don't speak up for herself. I watched the first couple seasons. Robyn was throwing her opinion and her foot in everything that wasn't nailed down. She was talking about what was happening in the family before she even came into the family. She was talking about what was going on in the family before Christine got there. You know, as an authoritative, this is what happened. You know, so you can't tell me that she's super shy and she doesn't have an opinion. And I say that to say this. If Robyn didn't want to get married to Cody, she never would have married Cody, whether Meri divorced him or not. You know what I mean? She never would have married him. It wouldn't even been a question. It's not like he put a gun, you know, and I can't say that, but it's not like he forced her to go down to the place and forced her to marry. You gonna sign these papers. That's not what happened. You know what I mean? I totally believe Christine when she said that Robyn came in and started seeding ground, talking about, oh, I know somebody divorced, so the father could adopt the children. I totally believe that. Because if that wasn't the case, why didn't you divorce his ass once the kids were adopted? Once the kids are adopted, it doesn't matter what your marital status is anymore.
She could have divorced him, and then there could have been no legal wife.
Right. Well,
nobody has to be Cody's legal wife, right?
Right. Exactly. And that put everybody on the same equal plane. But of course, Robyn doesn't want that.
One of the things I didn't super appreciate that Meri pointed out, like, I get where Meri was coming from. She wanted to point out that she had a unique struggle with her marriage to Cody, something that Christine and Janelle didn't have to go through. And that was staying spiritually married to him whilst going through a legal divorce. Like she was pointing out like Christine and Janelle don't know what that's like.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, I think it came off a little bit harsher than what she really intended, but I was just like, damn, Meri. But I get the point that she's making. Like she had to go through her idea, allegedly, this legal divorce for the sake of Robyn's kids being adopted into a family that if something happened to Robyn is out here telling us every which way that her kids wouldn't be accepted by this family. So why would you want your kids adopted into this family in the first place? You've seen how like just cognitively, Robyn, you're telling us that everyone hates you and your kids. Nobody has accepted you and they've rejected the blending of the family. And then you objectively see that Cody has literally abandoned his other kids with wives that he no longer feels affection towards. If something happened to you, your kids would be out on the street by your own logic. So why would you want this man to adopt your kids?
Or even crazier, because even add on to what you're saying, if she like this is saying that she would pass from like some singular accident or some kind of medical issue. Mm-hmm. If she and Cody were driving, because you know the two of them together thick as thieves, they're always together, going out doing whatever. You guys get on a plane, the plane go down, you're in a car, the car crash, you run up a tree, drive off a cliff, wherever you do, right? And both of you were gone. As Robyn being the parent, Cody being the legal parent, it would all fall onto Robyn's family and Cody's family to adopt those kids. And it very likely could be that the wives, especially in that religion, the wives step forward and say, we want the kids because there's some added benefit or maybe some monetary gain, etc., etc. Every reason but the right reason, because they don't like your kids, but you're putting them in charge of your kids by doing this. Because you weren't just giving them to Cody, you were also giving the other wives access to your children. So I don't,
Yeah.
like you said, if they were treated, it would be negligent on Robyn's behalf. And this is the part of her lie that I don't understand why you keep telling it. It makes you look worse if you say that you stripped the rights off of their natural father to give the rights to some women who don't like your kids. That makes you look terrible. I don't understand why she tells that lie. I just don't. I don't get it.
Mhm. I think that this is a fair. I just want to point this out by Laura. No offense there, but you seem to see Meri in a negative light. I think her comment was correct. Maybe I just took it the wrong way. Maybe it just kind of triggered me. I don't know, but I was just kind of like, ugh, So I apologize. I don't disagree with you, Laura. I don't think that she was incorrect. And I don't think that Cody, because even in this episode, Cody continues to downplay that sacrifice for Meri. And that's to say that it was a sacrifice to Meri, that these legal marriages do mean something to in these, even though these are all spiritual marriages and that should supersede any legal marriages. They spent so many years telling us these legal marriages didn't matter. And at the end of the day, they do.
Right.
Or else, because Cody isn't the only AUB member to have a legal marriage, right? Most of them have a legal wife.
Mm-hmm.
And why do they do that? Because that gives some women an elevated status.
Right. And I will give a little pushback because I understand what they're saying as far as the marriages being connected, but I give a little pushback in this sense. I think that when push comes down to shove, we have to look at the people whom we're talking about. Meri came into the marriage. She's already, if you read the book, Meri as herself has said that there are some insecurities that she had even as a young person. She gets married, that provides a level of security by having that legal marriage and tied to the family. Because without that legal marriage, and this also leads to something else, but without that legal marriage, Cody could get up one day and walk out of her house and out of her life, and there's nothing she could do about it. At least with the legal marriage, she does have some boundaries and some restraint on what Cody can and can't do. That's the first thing. We also have to look at the fact that if you look at Meri as a person, Meri is extremely sentimental. She's extremely sentimental. You look around the B&B, even in this episode, she has a picture on the wall that's probably as old as the damn building. And she kept it. And you look around a lot of the rooms in that B&B, that's furniture from her ancestors that she's keeping around, and she had from like her great-great-grandmother, a bedpost or a nightstand or whatever. So Meri is very sentimental. So you can't tell me keeping that damn sign and making a big deal out of cutting that sign up, which I think is like a lash out at the whole ring melting down scenario. But even with that, Meri would be very sentimental about her marriage documents and her actual marriage to Cody. And for her to give that up, again, I think that this goes in line with what you were saying about this being even more significant to her because she is so sentimental about things. She's not a person who just casts things aside because, it doesn't mean anything or it outlived its usefulness. She keeps things around because it reminds her of something or it's something that she went through. That marriage was a significant thing for her. And so, that piece of paper meant something significant to her. So, when she said that, Christine and Janelle don't know anything about it, she's not just talking about the paper shuffle or the fact that, it was tied in the same day. She's talking about the fact that that piece of paper, whether we like it or not or accept it or not, does give her some power and authority over what was happening in the family. What did Meri say? I was one of the founders. Between me and Cody, I founded this family. I created this family.
And apparently, I didn't catch this because the thing that's frustrating about TikTok lives is they don't save. So you can't, like, if you miss the live, you can't go back and watch. But I heard that apparently on TikTok, Meri had said that she never knew that Cody and Robyn had first, like, made eyes at each other at church. She thought that their very first meeting was that meeting that she was there on, like, the cousin's front lawn or whatever.
Right.
She didn't know that there was a prior glance.
Right. Where he was checking out the wares, you know,
Yeah.
shopping the
So
wares.
and like these two people have an inability to be honest, and almost to the point where I feel like it's like something pathological that I don't know if they're even capable of, like, not spewing bullshit. It's just like because the ease of which they deny and deflect, and then it's like it's so easily contradicted. And I've heard, what is that saying, like, it's hard to keep up a lie because you have to keep on lying to keep up your lies, and then eventually it's like you confuse yourself when the truth is just like the easiest thing, because the truth never changes, right? I think, I don't know if Cody and Robyn are just, they need like a historian to go and, like, okay, I want to say this in a couch interview. Have I ever said the opposite?
Right.
Go back and watch these 19 seasons and let me know if I ever said the exact opposite, because so many times, and now the producers are doing that, right? They're just saying, oh, here's an instance where you disprove that.
Right.
There's so many instances that they say something in season 19 and it's like, you said something completely different.
Right. What are we doing?
In season X, episode X, you said the exact opposite.
Right. And that's actually last night. I was a little fired up when I was doing my live, and that's the reason why. It's because I can understand you guys want to try to rehabilitate your image. I probably would try too if I had the reputation you two have. I would probably try to rehabilitate my shit as well. But the problem I have is I'm not insulted when people lie. I'm insulted when people tell dumbass lies. Like, if you're gonna lie, it is what it is. But at least put some effort into it. Put some elbow grease into it. Don't just tell me a dumbass lie that doesn't make any sense. Because that's 99% of the time the lie that Robyn and Cody are telling us. It's stuff that doesn't make sense. Meri decided on her own by herself that she was going to go get a divorce from Cody. And yet and still, she was a freaking mess sitting in the lawyer's office trying to sign their documents. But I'm supposed to believe that this was all Meri's idea. She came up with this master plan. And Robyn, even though she benefited from it, had nothing to do with it. Every time, if you notice the pattern, every time Robyn gets some kind of advantage, she had nothing to do with it, and she's always opposed to it. When Cody went out and bought that house that they just sold for $1.6 million, oh, no. Robyn didn't want that. She was definitely opposed to it. Right. When he was talking about, I want to build the one house, he talks about how Christine was against the one house, and she's the one that ruined the one house deal. But if you look at it, Robyn was the one who never came out and said absolutely positively, I want to move into one house. The only person who was one house positive was actually Janelle. Meri, I don't even think Meri wanted to live in one house, because she would have to sit there and watch the foolishness that Christine said, who was very vocal about, I got to watch Cody basically be a wife or a husband to some other woman. And Meri didn't want to, I don't think Meri wanted to do that either. So
yeah, I think it's hard because I think, like, Meri might in some way be a lot more like Janelle than she maybe thinks that she is, because she learned, at least, how to get by with little to no affection for years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always, when she got affection, it was transactional and manipulated. She was manipulated in some way. Like month of and this, we got to talk about this. So Meri gets boo hurt that Cody says on the show that they probably went home and made love after the legal divorce.
Yeah.
And this offends Meri that Cody would like speak so derogatory about their intimacy or whatever. Even though I don't find anything he said to have been derogatory, I found it to be bullshit.
Right.
And Meri confirmed that they had not been intimate in quite some time at that point. So there's that probably is a definitely no.
Mm.
But in the same episode, so Meri gets pissed that Cody says that in a couch confessional. But Meri says on the show when they're taking apart the sign, like one of the friends was like, "Oh, unscrew that." And she was like, "It's nothing's gotten screwed in a while," or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, you're making jokes too, Meri.
Right. Yeah, it's the I mean, all of them do it. It's a thing that's been in existence for the Brown family since the first episode. Even when they go out, they would always make the assertion that it's so insulting when women would come up and ask Cody to be the next wife or the fifth wife. That's so insulting to us. Or they ask us a direct question because they would go to the media events and somebody would ask a question about like what happens with the bedroom shenanigans or whatever, and they would always get all butthurt about like that's not what we do and that's very private for us. But then at the same time, when they went to the was the reception area and the lady was passing out the brochures. And she said, "Look, I don't have enough for everybody. Do you guys mind sharing?" "Oh, we share more than brochures." Wow, chicka, wow, wow. Like, I mean, you guys are telling the jokes. Like you said, they've been doing this forever. Like, so don't be butthurt about it. I think what actually hurt her feelings was the fact that she knew damn well and Cody knew damn well that he hasn't dusted that off for a minute. And for him to sit there and lie and say, yeah, in fact, Meri and I were in such agreement of her signing this divorce. And I was so thankful for it. And nothing had changed because remember, this is Cody taking all the blame for the catfish and everything else off of him and putting it on Meri. This is something she did. It wasn't because I was an absentee husband. It's because this is something Meri wanted to do. So he said, like, nothing changed. And we went home and I took her out to dinner and we went home and we made love. We made some sweet love up in the crib. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna be pissed because I know you one, we didn't do that. You didn't knock boots. Two, you didn't even come to my house. And three, you know damn well we didn't go to dinner. And if you gave her a ring, you gave her a damn onion ring. Like somebody said that in my thing yesterday. Thought it was funny as hell. You gave her a damn onion ring. You didn't give her like you didn't give her like a wedding ring or a commitment band. You gave her an onion ring and maybe an order of fries and told her to
I
hit the
don't
road.
think I'd ever want jewelry from Cody again if the last time I exchanged jewelry with him, he melted what I gave him down.
Right. And this is all on the heels of that. And so, like, it's just like for you to go to your wife, and this again, this goes back to like the whole commentary what we were saying before about, with Janelle and Christine not understanding Meri as far as her being married. If you're the of the three wives, just the OG3 of the three, you're the wife who's already on the outs. And this is before Robyn comes into the fold. Because my understanding is they were already having problems before they met with Robyn. He meets with Robyn, and I think part of her incentive to give Cody Robyn was so that she could open the relationship up for him and give him something that he wants. In exchange, she gets some favor for, letting him have Robyn and being like the help part of the facilitator and him getting something that he wanted. Like, I think that was just her trying to earn his favor. I don't think she was all excited about Robyn coming into the family as much as she was excited about the prospect that she was going to do Cody a favor, and maybe by doing him a favor, she would get some favor from him. I think that's all it came down to.
Yeah, and I really want to talk about this whole church shopping with the girls because I'm very unsettled by it all because Robyn clearly considers herself part of the AUB. And I think she's going to end up coming to resent Cody for not being a practicing member. She says that what does she say? Hold on, let me back up in my notes. She says that if she could guarantee a positive experience, she would be interested in living plural marriage again. She acknowledges that the family falling apart has been traumatic, but she maintains that plural marriage just has to be done by the right people. And then she doubles down on that and says that if she were to do plural marriage again, she would have to be very active in their church, the AUB.
Right. Because nobody else could do it, is what she was
So,
saying. She said she had to be a part of the essentially an AUB church or some kind of AUB type church in order to officially do it. But she wants to do it. So basically, she's saying she wants to do it. I agree.
Yeah. Notes to self. We got straight from the source. We're not talking bull here, James. She co-signed.
She confirmed it. Yeah. What's going on? I'll be hitting you up too later.
Yay. So it's just I don't see the point even really in the girls, but we know that they are attending a interdenominational or I always knew it as non-denominational. So this term interdenominational is new for me, so I apologize if I interchange that. But we know that the girls do attend and they're very active in a interdenominational church. We see them post on they are posted on that church's social media.
Right.
So that's not LDS or AUB, but Cody is saying at the end of this episode that he feels the need to push them in the direction of at least being LDS. Right. He feels drawn to Mormonism. I guess I really don't understand the point in checking out all these other churches when all these other churches aren't going to be like, they're going to be like, who's Joseph Smith? Right.
Right. Well, I think that it's, because first I would say that with Robyn saying it, in order for her to participate in another polygamous marriage, she has to have guarantees that it's going to work out. That is the hands down, and I think that this applies to both Robyn and Cody. That is hands down one of the most immature perspectives on relationships I think I've ever heard from somebody who is over the age of 16. You need to be guaranteed that a relationship is, look, I love my wife. If something happened, we fell out tomorrow. And I said to myself, in order for me to get into another relationship, I have to 100% be guaranteed that that person is going to love me and be compassionate to me and our relationship is going to work out and she will never leave. I am going to die alone because nobody can guarantee that. That's the most ridiculous thing ever. Nobody can guarantee that tomorrow I want to still love you the way I loved you today. Nobody can guarantee that. So, and especially if you're mistreating them and not giving them the things that they need and you're shortchanging them, yeah, they're going to leave. So I think that that's crazy. But even with regard to like the new church thing, it's weird that Cody took the position that this is all culty and it's terrible and I don't want my kids a part of it. But then he's trying to push them into the church in Wyoming. You guys need to check that out. And I think that comes down to just Cody trying to maintain control over these girls and what they do. Like I think that if they go to a non-denominational church because he doesn't have a say, I kind of talk about in my video, shameless promo, but I think that when shameless plug, but I think that when you talk about like these other churches, Cody doesn't have any authority in these other churches. He doesn't have a leg to stand on because even though they might deal with the same scripture or talk about the Bible in the same respect, because you have the additional books and you have additional things that your religious beliefs lead you towards, it creates less credibility when you're sitting there talking to, say, a non-denominational apostolic church or Catholic church or another Christian church. Like I just
Mm.
don't think that you have as much, especially you say that you came from a cult. And then you're gonna stand there and tell the man on the pulpit that he got it wrong. Like, look here, cult boy. Just sit back, relax, let me explain this. And you make
Yeah.
sure you listen, you know.
I'll be right back. I hear my son crying and I just want to
Okay.
make sure that my husband got him. So give me one moment.
No worries, no worries. All right, guys. So I'm here by myself to entertain everybody. Hopefully, make sure you hit those like buttons. We'll try to get the likes up. Um, just as another reference, I'll talk about it with Sarah when she comes back. But there's another reason why I think that the whole religious aspect, or at least the marriage, going back to the whole marriage thing, why it was so important to Cody. Because we talked about it from respect of Meri and it being important to Meri, and why it is most likely important to Robyn. But I think that there's another part that we have to address, and it's simply this: Cody. Cody said last week, and we watched him say this when he was having a conversation with Robyn, that, oh, I have this sweet woman, and I'm so in love with her, and it struck me, and I wanted to get with her, and I want to hold it down, and let me see the size of that ring on that finger. You think that this guy who thinks that all these men out here are trying to get with his girlfriend, then girlfriend, and then now wife, you think that this guy who is that insecure doesn't want to lock down this woman in matrimony? You think he doesn't want to marry her? You think he doesn't want to hold her down? Of course he does. So there was other incentives there too, that we're now talking about, that I think that all of us kind of knew were there, that are now being talked about with regard to, hey, what's going on, Sarah? With regard to why Cody would want to have the legal marriage with Robyn. Because again, that would be a reason why Robyn can't get up and just walk out and leave. I was talking about why Cody would I don't know if you heard it or not.
No, my son is I had these too when I was about his age, but he gets night terrors where
Oh,
like he's kind of just inconsolable until he like fully wakes up. And so
mm,
my husband has him in the living room, which is right outside my office. So I just wanted to make sure that he wasn't like alone.
right,
So
right.
he's
No
not.
worries. No worries.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah.
No. Very cool. Very cool. That's important because everything else, like Cody and Rob, don't be a Cody.
No, my son is just as pissed off as we all are.
Right.
No.
It's in the air. It's in the air.
Yeah. So what did I miss?
Oh, basically, I was saying that part of the reason why when we talk about like the marriage license and why like the motivation of Meri to give up her marriage license, as well
Mhm.
as Robyn's desire to get that marriage license, I was just saying that it strikes me that there's a third party that we have to talk about, which is Cody. And he had motivations to make sure that he locked down this woman who was a single woman in the church when he first met her, and all these rivals and guys were trying to talk to her. He wanted to lock that down. And the best way for him to lock that down was for him to legally marry her, not just spiritually marry her, because, especially with the nonsense that he was listening to as far as the manosphere and everything else, when you talk about hypergamy, that women are always looking for the next big thing. You got
Yeah.
to lock her down. And I think
Yeah.
that was another reason why he wanted to do it.
And you know what I'm starting to gather too is I feel like Cody needs to make sure he has what everyone wants. So
Mm-hmm.
like he has the sports car. He has like and I actually was watching a like a ex-Mormon content creator talk about how like in Utah, like one up culture or like keeping up with the Joneses is so hardcore in Utah. Like
Mm.
you have to have the latest and greatest. Like
Right.
if if Cody was a Stanley guy, he'd always have the latest Stanley that came out because like he had to. That's the like pressure is on to always have the latest and greatest. So
Right.
he needs to make it. He needs to sell to the audience that everybody wants the only wife that still wants to be around him. So there was a line of people, in line that wanted to snag Robyn, which Melanie from Notes to Self said that she buys that tracks with like how the AUB is. But and I mean, we all have eyeballs. Robyn was objectively attractive, like conventionally attractive when we first saw her on our TV screens. I'm not saying she's not attractive now. I'm just saying like she was an attractive person back when she was 30. So yeah, I believe Cody, but he has to make sure that we know he had to like fend people off.
Right.
Because everybody wanted Robyn.
Right. And it's not just the act of fending people off. It's the act of fending people off and winning. Like that's the critical part.
Right. He's the victor.
Right, exactly.
So now he has to put a big fat ring on his last wife standing. He needs to tell us during their date that he is protecting his pride or something like that.
Right. Well, because it's the idea of him planting his flag. That's all it is. He's planting his flag, and it's not only that, she's mine, and and I don't care that she's mine, and that's all I care about. Is she's mine and people still want her. That's why I have to make sure she has the ring. That's why I have to make sure that I'm around. Because if I let her out by herself, then dudes are going to be jumping out of the bushes trying to drag her into the alleyways because, she just can't be trusted alone because she's so hot and so desirable. And I'm one of those people, there was a meme that was going around like on Facebook or whatever, Instagram, where they would say, they had like this big, beautiful house, right? Super mansion. And this wonderful car. And they said, if you could live in this house and drive this car, but nobody could ever know that you lived in this house or drove this car, would you do it? Cody would be one of those people who say, I absolutely cannot do that because everybody has to know how awesome my house is and how great my car is. Me, I'm the kind of person I absolutely could do it. There's people who don't know what my house looks like now. So if I had a mansion that was like dope as hell and I enjoyed it, my family enjoyed it, that would be more than enough for me. You know what I mean? That's more than enough for me. But I don't think that he's built like that. So, no. I mean, I take it as an insecurity, but
it kind of is completely, what it is. Totally. We have a super chat from Michelle Woods. Hey. Thank you so much. Christine did say in the first episode, I believe, if the husband is having a problem with a wife, then bring in another wife. That is a fact. She did say that. I think that's another reason Robyn was brought into the family. Definitely. I think that Meri, we see Meri attempt many times to save her marriage. Right. I think one of them was bringing in Robyn. And then another one was the legal divorce. Those were two overt acts by Meri to win favor with Cody, and it didn't work.
Well, and I would even throw in, for people who don't like Meri, I think that part of the reason why people might be a little Meri adjacent is because of the fact that she, at least initially, was kind of reported as being a very strong-willed person. And I think that one of the big crimes in watching a lot of how the season, like the episodes in the series started to where we are now, is the story arc of Meri and where she is. Like by the season 17, 18, Meri was kind of, season 17 for sure, Meri was kind of shamed into silence. So even when she had a point or she had a position that she could have stood on, she didn't say anything. She always waited for somebody else to give their opinion because she was too afraid to offend somebody or say the wrong thing. And I think that part of what happened in this relationship, whether it was Cody, whether it was the other wives, or a combination of all of that. I think that one of the big crimes is that they stole Meri from Meri. And I think that we have to also acknowledge that, because, Meri, the way they talked about Meri at first was like Meri would be like, you can't run through my house. If you want to play, if you guys want to play, Janelle's on one side, Christine's underneath me. If your kids want to play with each other, they got to go outside, meet up on the porch, but they're not running through my house. And she went from that to begging people to come and visit her by season 17. Like, there's a substantive difference. Cody broke her ass all the way down. And I think that also has to be recognized. Like, so, Meri went through it. Meri gave up a lot to be in this relationship.
Yes, she did.
She gave up a lot.
Yes, she did. I will say that I think that Meri, Janelle, and Christine, I saw a comment like early when we first started the stream. Like, the OG3 are never going to be besties. Even like Janelle and Christine, who are sister wives through and through, they learned how to cohabitate to raise kids together.
Right.
If it wasn't for the kids, do I think that these ladies would still be in each other's lives? I don't know. Right. I'm not 100% sure on that. People can disagree with me, but they're not cut from the same cloth. I don't think they're inherently similar to where I think that they would be best friends in the real world if their circumstances didn't lead them to raising kids together.
Right.
So, but with all of that being said, all three of these women learned how to make it work together for the sake of the family.
Right.
And that's the thing, for the sake of the family. Robyn never did that. And that's why Robyn can never successfully live plural marriage. Robyn thinks it's everyone else that's the problem. She doesn't realize she is the problem, or she's at least part of the problem.
Right. And even to add on to that, I think that there's a part where, like, one, I think that Christine and Janelle's relationship is based off of the situationship that they had, like you said, because they had children and they were in tight quarters. And because they were in the financial and economic situation they were in, they heavily relied on one another in order to make the situation work. By the time Robyn entered into the family, and quiet as is kept, I think the whole reason why Robyn was driving 4 hours to go to church was because she knew that this financial situation was about to change for the Brown family, because they were in negotiations with a TV show. But when she came into the family, the Brown family all of a sudden had a huge influx of money and resources. So the necessary things and elements that were present when Christine, Meri, and Janelle were together didn't necessarily exist, at least to the same harsh circumstances that they did when Robyn entered into the family. Robyn didn't have to make anywhere near the same level of sacrifices that Meri, Christine, and Janelle had to make in order to stay and keep them maintain the family. She just didn't. Whether good or not, it is what it is. And so, like you said, I don't think that Robyn has ever experienced that. Like, you came in during the luxury years. They were there during the bootstrap eating moldy bread years, ramen noodle years. What I mean? Warming up water and putting salt and pepper in it and called it soup years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's a different experience.
A completely different experience. We have another, I cannot talk. Another super chat from Michelle. Thank you so much. Cody and the other wives stole Meri's voice over the years. She's slowly but surely getting her voice back. And that's why I'm here for she's been funny this season with like the shade that she throws in the couch interviews. I am so here for that. Right. I just, selfishly speaking, or I don't know, my own bias speaking, I just want her to, because this family, they all have lied at various points in time. Some are more liary than others, I think Cody and Robyn are the most liary of them all.
Right.
But they've all hidden the real deal from us. So I have no doubt that Janelle, Meri, and Christine all have valid reasons for having bad blood with the other. I just my bias is like Janelle and Christine have seemed to have been like, okay, we're just gonna it's us against the world, basically, with sister wives. We will be a united front. I wish that Meri would also just direct her, and that's just selfish of me, I realize, but I just wish she would just focus it on Cody and Robyn, like the real villains, in my opinion.
Right.
But I recognize she probably has completely valid reasons to have hurt feelings towards Christine and Janelle and vice versa. But you've never clued us into that. So we're just going based off of what we've seen. And what I've seen is that you guys should be a dynamic trio taking on the big bad Robyn Cody.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of that is just the residual nature of how the family was constructed. So the family was based on a premise of turning each wife against one another in order for Cody to remain, kind of hands off and remain spotless and maintain his power. So he has at least two of the wives fighting at all times, and if possible, all three of them going at each other and going back to their neutral corners. And so when you have those kind of problems, that's where the mentality assists itself in, okay, I'm not getting along with the wives, or we're having problems, and I don't want to necessarily get involved with the problems. I just have to generate somewhere else to go, enter a new wife. Because that's even how Cody talked about it. He said that when I have a problem with one wife, I just go over to the other wife's house. So you've created this scenario where you have all three wives mad, fussing, and fighting with one another, and that creates all kind of discord in the house. Now you don't have a safe harbor, so you need a fourth house to go to. So you add another wife. And I think that that's like, it's a residual of that bad feeling, that bad temperament, maybe some of the bad deeds, some of the bad feelings that they had from those times when they were all pitted against one another. And as long as they fight each other, they'll never focus on the true problem, which would in fact be their relationship with Cody. Because that's why you're all mad at each other.
And
you're
just
not mad
like
at each other
with
because you're mad at each other.
I get that. The perfect example of that, James, what you just said, was the whole luggage rack thing, right? Realizing that Cody was always the problem. Cody never, and it might seem trivial, and Cody says as much in his couch interview. It seems like Christine and Janelle have realized that Cody was always the problem in the relationship. If they were having problems with each other, it likely went back to Cody.
Right. And I would even say this, because I went off on this damn luggage rack yesterday. So much so people started commenting like, here you go with this luggage rack stuff again. But I'm going to say it again, damn it, because I think that the luggage rack is so symbolic of so much of the problems that they have. Because to me, it's not just, Cody said it was a small thing and it was inconsequential, and it's just you're nitpicking each other because you broke up. To me, the luggage rack represents the simple consideration that you have for your partner. The fact that you take your partner into consideration when you're sitting there lugging this furniture, these bags into the room, and you say to yourself, I need to be convenienced. So I'm going to put my stuff up on the luggage rack. Screw her. That says to me that you're not considering your wife at all. Because technically, not to be a chauvinist, I guess I will be a chauvinist though. But if you're the manly man that you're supposed to be fighting off criminals and protecting your wife at all costs, and that's why you deserve to have her get up and make your breakfast, because if somebody break in the house, you're gonna fight off a burglar. You're gonna protect her against a killer burglar, but you won't protect her against a back problem because she got to pick a damn her luggage and bags up off the ground. Like, what are we talking about? You should be protecting and looking out for your wife or your partner at every turn. So a simple thing you could do, which would be more consistent, because I guarantee you they went away on more trips than people broke into their house and Cody had to fight them off. So it's more
Mhm.
likely that that little thing, to me, means and is indicative of the type of relationship structure and behavior that Cody exhibited during the time when he was with these women. So you didn't take them in consideration. You let them pick their clothes up off the ground, which is crazy to me. It's crazy.
It's just so indicative of Cody as who he is as a person.
Mhm.
We have a couple more super chats. One from Miss Alexis Lane. I think
Okay.
Meri was a snitch. Looking back and watching the old episodes, it's obvious that she had no problem throwing Janelle and Christine under the bus. I think these women were always tattling on each other.
Mhm.
And from what I've gathered from watching like Notes to Self and from watching like other Cults to Consciousness and other Alyssa Greenfell, I think it's her name. Um it seems like that's pretty common in polygamy, like with plural wives. Even I think even Cody's nephew Ben has talked about that too. Like you when you're a plural wife, you are constantly looking for way. You're in survival mode all the time.
Mhm.
How am I going to come out on top? How are me and my kids going to come out on top? And it's not because I hate my sister wife, or maybe it is, but like it's survival of the fittest out here. So
Right.
you're constantly ratting out your sister wife who might have done something bad, because that will earn you, that puts you a peg higher.
Right.
And Meri, growing up in polygamy, learned that. So did
Mhm.
Robyn. So did Christine.
Right. Well, because I think that there's also a point too that can't be ignored, because along those same lines, I attribute it more to you vying for position. And so even in the example where I cited that if Cody's having a problem with one wife, he'll go stay with the other wife.
Mm-hmm.
If you can create discord between Cody and the other two women, you have, in this case, Cody had three wives initially. If one of the wives can create a problem between two of the wives, so much so that Cody doesn't want to go spend time with those two wives and he rather just chill in your house because you're the only person not arguing, then why wouldn't they do it? Because the main objective in this situation, I know a lot of us are going to kind of throw up in our mouth a little bit when I say this, and I apologize. And if I had your address, I would send you a case of Listerine. But the truth of the matter is, is that Cody's time and attention was the gold medal for each one of these ladies. This is what they sought the entire time. Their whole lives were basically built around pleasing and tending to Cody's needs and making him as comfortable as possible so that he would desire to spend time with them. Even when we listen to Robyn, she's the most outspoken person. Oh, you treat Cody like the best customer. You make sure that he's comfortable when he shows up. Each one of the wives have always said that when Cody shows up to their house, everything else gets dropped and all attention is focused on Cody and making
Mm-hmm.
Cody happy. And so it would only make sense to me that these women would tell on one another, would create discord in other relationships so that they could achieve that thing that they've been all vying for, which is to try to be the favorite wife so that Cody will show them time and attention. And even if you look at it from the respect of the kids, if you really look at it, even with how Cody is doing it now, if you're a favorite wife, Cody not only spends time with you, but he spends time with your children too. So we also have to
Mm-hmm.
take that into consideration. That's why he has such a close relationship with Robyn's kids, because Robyn is nice to him. You understand what I mean? So there's a lot that happens. There's a lot of moving parts as far as like trying to get Cody's attention and make sure he like him. So I can totally appreciate that. Yeah, do I think Meri snitch? Yeah, but I think that Christine was probably snitching. Um, Janelle was probably doing low key snitching.
You know who never spent time in a kitchen? Cody. Yet he somehow knows that these women couldn't share a kitchen together. And I
Right,
don't
right.
think it was just because Meri was saying it was tough, you know?
Right, right. And he
So,
didn't, I don't think he cared. I mean, the crazy part is, and maybe this is just my prejudice or bias, But if the women were complaining that they don't want to share a kitchen, I don't think, unless it had directly affected Cody in some way, that he would generally give a shit. I don't care that you guys are upset. Figure it out. He didn't care when they moved to Arizona and none of them had land or place to stay. Like I have no reason to think that all of a sudden Cody cares about like the living arrangements or working arrangements of how the household is going to function between these three women. I don't think he cares at all. I think he cares about Robyn not working in that kitchen and being around these women too much, because I think that that's also part of the plan too. I don't think Cody wanted Robyn around these other ladies.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Right. Danielle B says, and thank you so much for the super chat. I wish Robyn would acknowledge that once she came, the family changed. So to keep talking about this dream with her sister wives is insulting. I 100% agree with that.
Yep. I totally agree with that.
If we can't get that very basic admission, then everything else is just so everything she says after that is so disingenuous.
Right.
Like if we could at least start there, then I think we all could at least have a little bit of respect for Robyn. Like we can all at least respect honesty.
Right. And here's the craziest part about it. She could do it in a way where it's not her fault. Because how Cody saw her and how Cody treated her wasn't necessarily her fault. Cody's the ass who wasn't living up to his responsibilities. That's not on Robyn, that's on Cody. But if you're as Robyn, if you listen to don't listen to James on YouTube, please, whatever. I get it. You don't like me, whatever. But listen to what Cody says. Cody said that when he married Meri, he never should have married Meri. He was so upset he married Meri. Janelle, she was cool, but it is what it is. Christine, when he married her, it was 1,000-yard stare. But when he saw you and he met you, lightning struck and the Lord spoke to him and everything was right in the world and you were the one that he wanted to be with and you were his soulmate. And he wanted to make you happy. And he was excited about marrying you. So excited that he went for the dress fitting. He went for the cake testing. He went to everything he could possibly go to that was connected to marrying you. So even if you say that Cody did all these things and it's not my fault, at least acknowledge the fact that if you believe what he said, that it's likely that he showed some preferential treatment to Robyn, whether he wanted to or not, just for the sole fact that he was so attracted and so involved with Robyn and wanting to be with Robyn. And he wasn't, according to him, with these other ladies. So yes, he showed you preferential treatment. It's not that hard. And it's like I said, at that point, it wouldn't be Robyn's fault. So you could blame Cody 100%.
When I was deeply unsettled by Cody getting this download of how church went from Aurora and just the level of emotional that Aurora got to about going to a Sunday church service, like, and this is what I'm this is what I'm talking about with this this darkness that is like on the vibe is just so dark now because like what have these kids in the McMansion gone through the last 4 or 5 years that going to a church service and dreaming that your sister might like play in the church band gets you to that level of emotion.
Right. Yeah, the sad part is that I said this last night and I'll say it again here. I am not trying to accuse anybody of anything. I'm just saying that if I was talking to a young person and they exhibited that level of emotion about something as simple as going to a church, I would have concerns. Like, to me, that's huge red flags that like either you are that emotionally frayed because your house is so stressful that even the simplest thing of going to visit a church and listening to people sing and oh, I went to church and they were openly praising the Lord. Oh my God. Yeah, because that's what happens in church. You know, I don't understand why you're crying. Oh, I can see my sister up there playing the guitar. You go away because according to Cody, there was one point where Cody was saying, I think it was earlier in the season, he said that during the summer they would go to fairs or festivals or whatever and watch Brianna play guitar publicly all summer long. So now all of a sudden it's super weird to think that your sister might be playing guitar in a church and you're crying because you're sitting there talking to your dad. What is Cody doing to these people? What is Robyn doing to him? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's disturbing. Like I wasn't a fan
Mhm.
of that. Like I wasn't a fan of
No.
that at all.
And when we are, so I've been following this mom on TikTok who, the 17 diapers mom,
Mm-hmm.
she's a Mormon content creator and she's being investigated by CPS because she has bragged about things such as not changing her kids just pee diapers. She only changes poo diapers. And what really set off people's concern is there was this video that they posted and her husband is like handing something to one of the toddler sons, like a 1.5, 2-year-old, and the kid flinches. And
Mm.
all these people who have experience in childcare are chiming. I don't, so I'm not trying to claim anything, but they're saying like that is really a big red flag that something is wrong at home if a kid is flinching when their parent is approaching them.
Right.
So there's that instance. Then there's the whole Ruby Frankie situation where, and these are all people, you don't think that abusive parents would showcase their abuse. You wouldn't think that, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I would think that they would try to hide that and try to not let people see that. But Ruby Frankie, she was doing this all on her monetized YouTube channel for years. And then it turned out that the situation was nearly fatal for her kids.
Right.
Like, and she's literally in jail now. I don't think it's hysterical of us to be really concerned.
Right. And I would say this, like there was somebody earlier, Sonia, who had said that with regard to why Cody and Robyn tell these big fanciful lies. And part of it, which I completely agree, is that you usually tell it to your friends and family. And because they go along with it, it normalizes the lie. So you think that the lie is brilliant and believable. In the same vein, I think that, when people get caught showcasing misbehavior as far as their kids or even as far as their partners or whatever is concerned, or especially on social media, I think a big part of that is because they're so used to doing it, it becomes normalized. So they don't realize how bad it is, the thing that they're doing, and how bad it is, and how much trouble they could actually get into. For Robyn and Cody, they may look at it and see this. And again, I don't know these young ladies. I want to preface it by saying this. I don't know them. Uh, Maybe this is just to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe this is just something that they were going through on this particular day. Maybe they had other stuff on their mind and the cameras just caught them wrong. Okay, fine. But if Robyn and Cody are protecting their daughters to the point where they can't even experience sliding into a pew when they're at the same age as somebody who is their contemporary is sliding onto a bar stool or a booth at the local bar. You understand what I mean? Then there's an issue. And the issue is, as a parent, and I said this yesterday, I really liked it, but to pat myself on the back hurt my arm and shoulder. But as a people and as members of this organization, which is humanity, part of our job The biggest part of our job is to train our replacements. We're supposed to train the people who are going to take our place. And if you aren't preparing your children to face the world without you, you're doing your children a huge, huge, huge disservice. You're not helping them out at all. If you're protecting them to the point where they can't go to church and decide which church they want to attend, and they go to church, a particularly safe place for the most part. I mean, there's some skeevy places, absolutely, and some deviant people who are in churches, absolutely. But for the most part, in general, churches are not the most craziest places you could go. And yet your kids are scared to go to church on a Sunday afternoon without their mother being present. What are you going to do? And I hate to tell you that, like, look, and the devil is in the church, okay? And you put your kid in there and they get to crying, and you opening them up to some of these church services, especially you plan on going. Cody wants to get back into the groove of going to some of these more out of the way places. These guys are
Mhm.
going to come in and do things to your child that you're not going to be able to stop. You know what I mean? Because of the way you trained them, you didn't prepare them for life, and that's a disservice for your kids. And I think that
I
that
think just based off of things that Aurora and Brianna have said, Brianna is looking for a way out of her house in the form of a man.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
That's
bad.
a red flag for
Right.
me. And Cody, we have Aurora sitting here crying about how much she just wants to be a part of this church or a church. And in the same conversation, Cody is telling us that he's really intense and that he has strong opinions about church.
Right.
It seems to me like things get real heated when it comes to church with
Mhm.
Cody
Right.
behind closed doors.
Right. And he's an absolutist. So that's the kind of feeling I get, is that he absolutely is right. Everybody is absolutely wrong. It doesn't know what they're
Mhm.
talking about. So when he's talking about it, you're pushing them into doing something that they don't want to do. And even with regard to, because I don't want to lose this point either, but even with regard to the young lady, and this is just what I'm saying, like, being outside the community and having a different perspective, for some communities, it is viable for you to go from your mom's house to your husband's house, your boyfriend or your husband's house. I
Mhm.
get it. But from my experience, you're teaching them to be reliant on somebody. I grew up and I raised my daughter and my son. Like, a man is not a plan. You
Yeah.
got to have something that you're contributing to your situation. And that way you can always ask questions. One of the big complaints, like, we kind of got into it last night, but one of the big complaints that we have, even with the OG3, is that at some point you got to stand up and start asking questions and being that partner. And kind of what Sonia was saying, and kind of what we had talked about with people going along to get along, you have to be that partner. When your husband says to you, hey guys, we're going to sell our $2 million worth of real estate in Las Vegas, which potentially right now currently is worth 4.5 million plus. We're going to sell it for $2 million, a little over $2 million, and we're going to run out to Arizona, where we're going to buy one house for $1 million, and we're going to buy a plot of land with 4 acres or 4 plots with 15 acres for $1 million. So basically, all the money we have, we're going to dump into a bunch of real estate where only one person is going to have a house. Teach your kids to ask that question. Why the hell are we doing that? Oh, because we're
Mhm.
going to develop the land. With what money? Well, after we develop the land, we're going to buy the property. We can't afford the property. We got to put it on payments. Okay, we're going to develop the land. With what money? After we develop the land, we're going to have to build houses. Okay, yet again, the second question: with what money are we doing this? Ask those questions and give some pushback. But if you're not teaching your kids to give that pushback, you're setting them up to be in a situation where they won't be as fortunate as Christine, Janelle, and Meri. Because these ladies, as much as we talk about how unfair they've been treated, these ladies are extremely fortunate because they are millionaires. Like, we can talk about as much as we want. They're doing well. But anybody else in that same situation, they would be getting screwed because the husband might have 4 wives, but he don't have 4 houses. And
No.
so you're not getting the house I'm living in, boo boo. So go tell your dad that you're coming home. Like, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
I'm just saying, prepare your kids.
Yep. We have a super chat here from Caitlin. Thank you so much. I just feel so bad for Robyn's kids. I do too.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel bad for them, especially because they are isolated from the world, not even just from their siblings or the rest of their family, but they're really isolated from the world. Now, it does seem like now they have a social outlet with this church. I hope that continues. But if all your whole life, your frame of reference is fear and like your parents telling you how scary everything is, and you're already prone to anxiety. I know this because I am prone to anxiety. That is not a healthy way to grow up or to live at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bad situation. And you're putting them in a position where, unfortunately, and this is what I was saying before, is that if you train your kids to follow instructions because you want them to follow your instructions and do everything you want them to do, then all that's going to happen is they're going to find somebody else to give them instructions, and they won't deviate from that person no matter how bad those instructions are. And it is really unfortunate that if you protect them, and then it's a weird thing too, because I kind of get the feeling that Robyn infantilizes her kids because she likes them at a certain stage, even at a certain age, and she gets them stuck. So like even listening to them talk, like I don't want to be mean to these young ladies, but a lot of what they say sounds very immature for their age, because like if you listen to them, they sound like they're 14, 15 years old, but they're in their 20s. You know what I mean? Like I know the oldest one, I think she was 22, 23 at the time of filming. So
Yeah.
I mean, she's a clear adult. She's an adult.
Yeah.
Monica Lewinsky, I think they're as old as Monica Lewinsky, just to put it
Yeah.
in perspective. Like, you know what I
Robyn
mean?
already had 2 or 3 kids by then. I
Right.
don't know how
Meri.
old she had Brianna, but she was 19 when she had Dayton.
Right. OG3 were married by the time they were there. They were a couple years married by the time they were their ages. So I mean, you're not doing them any favors, especially you're waiting for them to turn 25, 30 years old. Then you're going to drop them into the world, christen and new. I'm telling you, them dudes are going to run. They're going to run through them like Grand through Richmond. It's going to be rough. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be ridiculous.
Carla, thank you so much for the super chat. Season 6, episode 12, Mother-in-Law Invasion. The grandmas have round robin of plague wife stories. Misery equals holiness. They were suffering as a badge of worthiness. The whole origin story of Cody's parents converting to the AUB, it was just a cover for his dad. His dad found a way to ethically, morally cheat on his wife and abandon her, because that's what happened.
Right.
He found a whole ass religion that would co-sign that, and that's what he did.
Allow him to do what he wanted to do. What's wrong with that? It's religion shopping. I like this. I want a little bit of that. It's like one of them buffets. I'll take a little bit of the polygamy, but I don't want any of the charity stuff.
No. The like last thing I wanted to touch on that Cody said, and I was just like, was what did he say? Cody claims he didn't realize how hard it would be to raise kids in plural marriage. And I wrote, dumbass.
Right. Then you weren't thinking about the kids at all. That's all that is.
The sheer numbers game.
Right.
Even if you have the best of intentions, when you have into the teens numbers of children, you are one person.
Mm-hmm.
At best, you're 5 parents. You are vastly outnumbered.
Right. Right.
And you physically, it is physically impossible for you to meet the needs of 18 kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, because here's the thing I was thinking about even last night. When you look at what Cody said, like, because I heard what Cody said, and again, like Cody on the confessional couch, I kind of grain of salt it all the time. But when you
Mm.
listen to what he said, what he also said was when I would go over to the wife's house, and they've had the kids for 6 nights or whatever, 5 6 nights by themselves. So when I come over, they want to spend time with me. So we go out, so that they can get their Cody time in. And then by the time I come home, the kids are already in bed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. One, that tells me that you are constantly going out, because each time you go over to a wife's house, you guys are going out because wifey needs a break. So you're the one that's going to take her. What I also noticed is that even as a subtext to that, I noticed that Cody didn't say, when I get over to the house, I realized that my wives were tired because they've been dealing with these kids all week by themselves. So I say to them, honey, why don't you go out, get yourself, have an evening out with your friends, and I'm going to hang out with the kids tonight. If you want to hang out with your kids, because you're not a dumb man, Cody, you realize that you haven't been hanging out with your kids all week. You haven't
Mhm.
been seeing them. So it would be an opportunity for you to say, babe, I know you've been doing it. I know you're tired. Why don't you go out, get some rest? Or if you want to stay home and go run yourself a bath, get yourself relaxed. I'm going to hang out with the kids, watch some TV, do the homework. Then I'm going to get them in the bed and we can hang out after we get them to sleep, because you're living in the same house, especially in Lehigh. So there's no reason why y'all couldn't go out and have somebody listen for your kids if that's
Mhm.
what you wanted to do. But again, this goes back to what I was saying. It all comes down to what you want to do. And if you're so moved and so desirous to do these things, then you will find time to do them. Now, do I recommend that you have 4 wives and 18 kids? Hell to the no. Because like you said, the time is the time. Men, woman, child, dogs, cats only got 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. That's all you get. You know what I
Yep.
mean? I don't care how many
Yeah.
kids you have. You don't get bonus time because you can't control your PP. Like, that's just not how it works. So
Mhm.
I 100% agree. Like, but at the same time, Cody wasn't trying to spend time with these kids. He's trying to spend time with Robyn's kids. And I don't think it's because he necessarily missed the opportunity to spend time with his kids, but it's something that he has to do in order to keep Robyn in tow. It's something that he learned that he has to do in order to keep Robyn's happy or whatever. So that's
Mhm.
what he does. And this again goes back to, you can make demands of your partner, especially if you're in that position of actually being his partner.
Yep. We got a heck yes from Darlene. Yes, James. Then we can what we do when we get home. We can
Right?
do what we want when we get home. Exactly.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. What do you have coming up this week, James?
Videos. I have to try to figure out how I'm going to streamline my videos, because I don't want to just release sister wife content. I'm also going to try to release some 90-day content, as well as some love after lockup
Ooh.
content. So yeah, I'm gonna make the this year I'm gonna make the jump, and I'm gonna try to increase my volume coming out. And as with everything else, you guys don't necessarily have to watch the show. In fact, in some of these shows, I would recommend you don't watch the show, but you can certainly
Yeah.
tune in into the content. I'll try to make it wide enough, broad enough that you can actually understand what I'm talking about without having to watch the show and be a committed person to the show. So that's what I have
Awesome.
going on. What do you have coming up this week? I'm kind of curious. What do you got popping?
I have embarked today on a deep dive. I'm going through my past content
Mm.
because I have questions about I cannot let and I'll just preface this by saying, if you think that um Gwen's excuse for not going to Christine's wedding was legit when she said that she had to study for organic chemistry, my next video is probably not going to be for you. I'm just going to put that out there. Um I really thought that, and I've been operating under this assumption for months, that Gwen probably had beef with production after her engagement party. And that is why she didn't go to Christine's wedding. She just really had that big of a beef with production. Like, it wasn't even enough to be at like a Logan level where Logan will still go to things. They just don't show him, right? But she was like, no, I won't even fucking go. Okay. But it was portrayed to us that was all gravy with Christine. Christine sent her like cookies a week or so after her wedding. Like, thanks, mom, for the cookies, was addressed on Instagram. But now, so Gwen's engagement party was in February of 2023. Christine gets married in October of 2023. I got to do a whole timeline, you guys. We're going all the way to the top with this. This is a deep dive. Gwen gets married in July of 2023. Christine gets married October of 2023. 2 days after Christine gets married, Mykelti goes live on Patreon, and people are asking why Gwen wasn't there. And Mykelti said she didn't know. If your sister is not there because she has school or a prior engagement, you would tell your sister, right?
Right.
So, and then I'm thinking Gwen threatened, maybe she threatened legal action. So, because they've acted like Gwen is Voldemort ever since Christine's wedding special, She Who Must Not Be Named. They didn't even acknowledge her absence at all in Christine's wedding special. If you didn't know Christine had a fifth daughter, you would not know Gwen existed just by watching the wedding special.
Right.
So I'm thinking maybe they came to some agreement with Gwen, like, you get because I already signed the NDA, you get my engagement party, but don't fucking mention me again. That's how I've been operating on. But then she pops up in this episode. Right. And this is all stuff that is filmed well after the engagement party. So I started going back through my content. Christine gets married in October of 2023. Gwen gets married in July. They take that trip to Europe in August, where they go on their like UK tour. And neither Peyton nor Gwen goes on that. But the thing that was posed to us at the time was that Gwen didn't go because she was going to Italy on her honeymoon. And that made complete sense, right?
Right.
But then around late August, September, Gwen starts really changing her tune about Christine on her Patreon. She starts kind of getting sassier and not as gracious about Christine as she had been. So, in my opinion, I think that there was a falling out.
Right.
I don't know why that has never been addressed, and it's basically just been ignored. To the point of just straight up ignoring Gwen completely, like her entire existence completely.
Right. Well, I mean, it could be, and this is just me kind of spitballing, but it could be that maybe she had a disagreement with David, because David is new enough on the show where they've been very carefully manicuring his personality and his appearances on the show. Like if you really think about it, we as an audience know absolutely nothing about David, except for Christine loves him and she's infatuated with him. We don't know anything about him, his personality, what he's like outside of being around Christine and kind of being subservient with Christine. An observation that even I made earlier was that if you listen to what David said even last night with regard to like, oh, I'll wear this outfit because she told me to. I always do what Christine tells me to. And Christine is kind of saying that she's running the show. It's very reminiscent, and I don't want to be a jerk here. I'm just saying it's very reminiscent to Sister Wives earlier seasons, where Cody would sit there and say, yeah, in my house, I don't have any say over anything that happens. And I can barely tell the kids what to do because I can't tell my wives what to do because they're strong, independent women. Cut. And everybody laugh and giggle. So I think that, I mean, there's a possibility that maybe that's what it is. And Christine refuses to show David in a bad light, especially because people are already so worried about the short or truncated, courtship between the two of them. I don't know. But I mean, the reason why she might have appeared last night, I'm thinking, is because the contract was still in effect. And so I can see, and maybe that's what got her pissed off too, because she told maybe it fell out, closer to the marriage, the wedding or whatever, when it came out that, she said, okay, well, after what you guys did at my thing, I want to be like Logan and only appear in the background. And I don't want you guys to use me or mention me or use it in my conversation. And TLC looked at her and said, well, we don't give a shit what you think because you signed the contracts. So we'll use every piece of evidence, every piece of footage we have with your name on it up until the point that the contract runs out. So from that respect, she might say, you know what, then what I need to do is not be there when you guys have things, because I don't know. There's a lot of angles. So I'm kind of curious what your video is going to look like. Because
I'm hoping to have it out tomorrow, but it might take me a couple days. So
right.
We're going all the way to the top with this, you guys.
Right. Ambition.
All right, I do want to say thank you to all of our moderators tonight. I saw B-Cat, Caramel Cuties. I saw Tiffany. I don't know if I saw Kendra. I could have missed you, Kendra. If not, shout out. Brittany, not Brittany. I saw her too. So thank you. And everyone, thank you for always keeping the chat fun. And we will see you guys in our next videos.
Yeah, in a new year. So happy New Year's, everybody. Make sure you keep it safe. Remember, traffic safety takes no holiday. So if you need to get yourself an Uber or a designated driver, I suggest you do that. Or even better yet, maybe stay in the crib and have a good time at the house with your family and friends. Just something to think about.
I plan on being asleep by 9.
Right, there you go. Avoid all
I am
the problems.
celebrating the new year with Australia.
There you go.
It'll be like 4 p.m. my time. That's my kind of New Year's. All right, you guys. Have a good night. Take care. Be safe and Happy New Year.
Happy
Bye.
New Year, guys. Take it easy.
Oh, hold on. We have a couple more. Super chats. We had a super sticker from Deanne. Thank you so much, Deanne and Darlene. Yes, James. Then we could. I read that and I butchered it again. So my apologies. All right, you guys. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.
Take it easy.